So, back for the team builder for the top 16 of the High Roller Draft League. We are now into the top cut. It is now single elimination, so this is where it gets both scary, because one loss and you're out, but also the potential for a lot more money now. These are effectively $100 money matches, so whoever wins this gets an extra prize on top of what they got from just getting the top cut of getting $100. So, yeah, this is serious now, and I am going against the person who created the High Roller Draft League in the first place, so with Jin. So you can see his team in the top right there. Did change it slightly, did originally have a Blastoise, just like me, so we would have had two Pokemon the same, but change it for the Tapu Lele there, and that hopefully means that Heatran is going to go in this match. Without the Blastoise, there's only really ground moves that can hit the Heatran for super effective damage. The Crocodile would be the main one. Metagross would have ground coverage to be able to hit the Heatran. The Charizard should have Scorching Sands to be able to hit it. The Torkoal will probably have Earth Power, could have Body Press. There could be the Surf Edge, could be a little bit awkward. But outside of that, Heatran does amazingly in this matchup. So long as it doesn't take a close combat from the Surf Edge, so long as its balloon hasn't been popped and then gets hit by a ground type move, should be sorted. So going with Ancient Power over Earth Power just to hit the Charizard, I don't need a ground type move. The Metagross is hit by fire type attacks, the Torkoal is hit by the Ancient Power, so Ancient Power should be fine in dealing with the Charizard as well. Pretty standard otherwise, but the balloon is really, really nice, just forcing the fact that they can't ground move me initially. The Metagross will have to go for a Steel Spike into the Heatran to break the balloon, rather than just immediately going for the Max Quakes. I can switch the Heatran in on any potential Max Quakes, or just ground moves as well, without having to fear actually taking the damage because of the Air Balloon. So in practice, Air Balloon has been very, very nice. I definitely don't want Shucker Berry at all. Air Balloon just forces far too much from them. So I'm hoping that Heatran puts in the work in this match. If there's no Surf Edge, it very, very much could do. So Crocodile here, but there is Psy Spam now. The Tapu Lele and Alakazam, and to an extent the Jinx as well, would be able to just go for all the expanding forces, so it makes sense to bring my Dark type to this match. Just going with the high horsepower and Rock Slide, don't feel the need for any Dark type moves. The Metagross is hit by ground moves, and then the rest is just neutral coverage with the grounds and the Rock. The Dark doesn't add anything at all, and Taunt is just there for Porygon. Pretty basic Crocodile, but the unique thing I would say would be that I'm probably going to go with Moxie here instead of Intimidate. Still debating it, may change it to Intimidate just for the opposing Crocodile, because it's weird that in the draft we have the same Pokemon, but they were in the different division and we had different drafts, so we'll have Crocodile versus potentially another Crocodile. But Moxie here because you can't intimidate the Metagross because Clear Body, you can't intimidate the Surf Edge because of Scrappy, so it's only really the Crocodile and maybe the Salamence, depending on if they go with the physical variant. They may even just go special, so it may not even matter in that regard. So we're going with Moxie here. Because if I do end up Dynamaxing the Crocodile with the Life Orb, it's going to be doing a very, very sizable chunk of damage and could easily snowball with the Moxie as well. So don't really feel the need too much for the Intimidate. And of course, Anger Point's pointless if I'm not bringing Frostlass. So this Latios here, pretty bulky one. I want to be able to survive a Moonblast from the opposing Tapu Lele, because then I can survive two if I'm in Dynamax, and then just be able to activate my weakness policy, respond back with a Ghost type move, whether that's the Shadow Ball or the Phantasm. I did initially have Mystical Fire on the Latios, but then realized I don't actually need Mystical Fire at all, because that was put on initially just to be able to hit the Metagross, but then I realized I needed Shadow Ball to be able to hit the Tapu Lele, and then that Shadow Ball hits the Metagross anyway. So just going with the Draco and the Shadow Ball here does mean that I'm kind of forced to Draco the P2 instead of going for any just kind of neutral move to drop my special attack potentially. But with Calm Mind and Recover, I should hopefully be able to offset that, because I don't really feel the need for any other kind of coverage moves. And then Calm Mind and Recover is just there because might be nice kind of thing. I'm not expecting to really just set up and just be able to wall everything with the Latios. It could happen if I take care of all the physical attacks, like if I take care of the Metagross, I could be able to just go for Calm Minds forever. Depends on whether the P2 has Eerie Impulse or not. We will have to see about that. If it doesn't, then this Latios can just completely set up on the P2 and eventually be able to just drop a +6 Draco at some point and then be able to win. So yeah, pretty bulky, so just so I can take on the Tapu Lele a bit easier. Hopefully I'll have enough damage output with the Latios, even with that drop of special attack, so that I can get that survival, but that's hopefully going to be offset by the weakness policy and the Calm Mind. Mean Shao, you wouldn't expect to be very good going into Psy Spam, but it's actually pretty good here, because if it is Psy Spam, then I can just Wide Guard on the expanding forces that can come out from the Alakazam and the Jinx. So the Jinx, I've got a faster Fake Out then, so it makes sense to bring the Mean Shao against that, and the P2, this is my main way of breaking through it. I've got very nice close combats ready to be followed up by anything else. Pretty much any max move and close combat should be able to take care of the P2. So Mincio is actually pretty good in this matchup, despite there being psychic terrain, despite there being potential Psy spam as well. So yeah, it's pretty standard. Got the White Guard for the expanding forces, got Rock Tomb mainly for the Charizard, but actually some nice speed control as well into a potential Scarf Tapu Lele or something like that. So yeah, I didn't really want Rock Slide, Rock Tomb. The speed drop I thought was a little bit better for hitting the Charizard, so that's what I'm going with the Mean Shao. I have to be inner focus here. Well, I don't have to be, but should be inner focus here with close combat rather than Reckless. Unfortunately, Reckless would have been nice for dealing with the P2 a bit better, the Reckless high jump kick, but there's 2 potential Intimidate Pokemon on Jin's side of the field, so I am going to be going with inner focus, so I'm going to be immune to that Intimidate, and I'm going to be 1 point slower than the Latios here, because they're both outspeeding the Charizard, don't need to go any faster than that, but Latios is going to outspeed, so I can go for a Max Phantasm into a close combat, potentially. PZ is a Assault Vest variant this week, so this was really nice. I wanted all 4 of those coverage moves, so it made sense to end up going with the Assault Vest because it was free, and it made sense with those 4 moves. Definitely could be Dynamaxing this PZ here. Got enough special attacks that I should be able to OHKO any kind of Torkoal, even if they go with the max special defense variant as well. Should be able to OHKO a Tapu Lele that's Choice Scarfed, but only outspeeding my Latios, and then the rest in bulk as well. So that could be quite nice. I was initially a bit bulkier on the special side, but then saw that calc on the actual damage output and felt like I should probably go with that. I don't want to try and risk any rolls coming out for this one. Especially because I'm not going with the Silk Scarf of the PZ, so need that extra little bit of damage output. But PZ is able to survive pretty comfortably in the Dynamax, even a Blast Burn in the sun from a Life Orb Charizard, so should be okay in that regard. And the Assault Vest just lets it take on a lot of the Pokemon a lot better. So PZ could definitely be the potential Dynamax Pokemon here. Didn't feel the need for too much speed. I'm only outspeeding the Charizard at -1, when they're at -1, I should say. But PZ could be very nice. Zapdos I'm probably the least likely to bring to this match, but going with the Psychic Seed to try and make use of their potential psychic terrain that they could be coming out. Could be a useless item if they don't even bring the Tapu Lele. And yeah, the Zapdos I'm not expecting to bring it. It's just there because I need a sick Pokemon, and it does make somewhat sense in this matchup, but I think I prefer the other 5, and we'll have to see which 4 I bring to the match. So Zapdos is just basically there on the bench. Quite amusing that I'm not bringing the Blastoise to this match, considering Jin initially had a Blastoise, and I was hyping up how good Blastoise was in draft format, and he didn't feel the need for it at all, and I haven't felt the need for it for this match. But there is Sun on the field that could be putting a stop to the Cannonades that can be coming out. There's a Jinx that's got dry skin. Is just going to be immune to it, so a bit too awkward to bring the Blastoise. This would have been amusing to bring the Blastoise, given that Jin initially had a Blastoise himself, but Crocodile versus Crocodile is going to have to do here. Whether that's I actually bring the Crocodile to the match, we'll have to see. I'm still undecided, even on the leads between these 5. Like, I'm probably not bringing the Zapdos, but we'll have to see what is going to happen. If I see no Surfetched, I'm feeling really good about Heatran. If I do see the Surfetch, maybe I just leave it on the bench. Probably, I've got the Latios that can deal with it, but yeah, if the Surfetch gets into Trick Room, that could be the most awkward things, but the only thing I have really to stop that would be the Taunt from the Crocodile. But other than that, if it's a Torkoal in the Trick Room, I'm not really too concerned, because Latios can take it on, Heatran can take it on, and PZ can somewhat take it on with the Assault Vest as well. So hopefully there is no Surfetch in Trick Room. I have just jinxed it, and we will see how this goes, because could be moving on to the quarterfinals.